Evening everyone, Nerds of the North, and we're back for some more Blu-ray reviews. It's what we got started with originally here on this channel, and it's time to continue on. Now, the next one here that I'm going to be talking about, this had quite a story behind it. It is the first trilogy that I actually went and hunted out the special editions for on DVD, and I waited a long time for this to come out, to be updated. When they originally brought the theatrical editions out in a trilogy form on Blu-ray, I had a couple of friends offer to buy it for me, and I told them don't waste your money because I won't take them out of the shrink wrap. For me, with this film, the theatrical versions don't exist. It's the special editions that I've fallen in love with, and they are what I have always wanted to own. So, obviously, in case you didn't read the title and just looked at the video, this is time for The Lord of the Rings Extended Edition on Blu-ray. This collector's set, wow, long time in waiting, and I'm really happy that I got it. You have a beautiful fold-open gold case, nice little map of Middle-earth there, and in this you get 3 DVD packages like this. Okay? Each one of these holds 5 discs. And the shock for that is the original DVD releases of the special edition were only 4 discs long. You had 2 discs for the movies and 2 discs for the appendices. Well, in this you get an extra little bonus treat. You get a 5th disc called Behind the Scenes. And it's stuff that didn't make it into the appendices. It's a documentary edited together by someone else outside the company. Really, really well done. A lot of it is repeat footage, but shown from either different angles or with different intonations behind it. It's nicely done, and I really do enjoy them. The Lord of the Rings appendices, for me, honestly are something I watch more than the actual film. And they actually get me hyped up to watch the films again. Now, for those of you who maybe haven't heard of these, each appendice for each movie is broken up into 2 parts, with the first part of the appendice usually being behind, like, pre-production stuff, getting the film ready to go, costumes, prop design, history about J.R.R. Tolkien, history about the Lord of the Rings, etc. Then you have the second appendice, which is shooting and post-production. Now, Lord of the Rings, as everybody knows by this point, or at least should know by this point, is a film that was shot back to back to back. Like, they shot for 16 months. As it says in the appendices, most hardcore action films, they'll shoot for 3 months. These guys shot for 16. That is a long shoot, and spanning all over New Zealand. So it's a lot of meticulous stuff you have to take care of in doing. One of the things I actually particularly like is they'd started off with the plan to originally just shoot Fellowship of the Ring. And what happened in New Zealand, go figure. New Zealand, right? Big, big, big rain. A lot of rain came down, and as I said, people were rowing the streets at some point. Well, you can't go outside and shoot your outdoor scenes when it's pouring rain like that. So they overtook a squash court in one of the towns and built a set there where they were going to film the first scenes from Return of the King. And the only scene that they could get in there to fit, which is the reason why they chose to jump to Return of the King, was a set on the rockwork scenes on the stairs of Cirith Ungol, where where Frodo sends Sam away. And they shot one actor at a time for one day. So they shot Sam on day 1, and they're planning on shooting Frodo on day 2. Well, morning of day 2, the sun came out. So they decided, let's just go ahead, we'll get as much outdoor shooting done as we can, and when it rains again, and we get rained out, we'll come back here and we'll shoot the second half with Frodo. They shot for a year, to the day almost, before going back to that set. They left the set up in the squash court too for an entire year. So they went back a year later to shoot the Frodo scene. So when you see that intercutting between Sam and Frodo on the stairs where Frodo sends Sam away, that is jumping a gap of a year. It's pretty interesting. You do find out a lot about just what went into it, like the fact that they hired an actual blacksmith to be able to do all the all the weapon making. Just you get to see how Weta not only became a great prop house that it is now, but Weta Digital became the forefront. There's so many movies out now that come out into theaters you can sit down and watch, and you'll see either Richard Taylor, his name up there, or you'll see Weta Digital, and that's amazing. Like James Cameron's Avatar, that was Weta. And not bad for a little production company started off in New Zealand. Congratulations. These guys are able to rival ILM. And that is outstanding. Now, we'll break it down into individual films here. A lot of fans have complained. And while I could technically be put onto the point of I can see the differences and I might not like them, I actually thoroughly enjoyed this release. Nothing in this release stops me from wanting to watch it. Nothing in this release stops me from wanting to go back and constantly enjoy it. What a lot of people are complaining about is the color correction. Now, they did, when bringing this out onto Blu-ray, they did an entire color refit. They put the entire movie through a digital color system and tweaked the colors to get it up to Blu-ray quality. Now, my biggest issue, and I think this is an issue for a lot of fans, was in the definition of DVD, you can hide a lot. You can hide some of the practical effects. You can hide the cutting between practical and CGI. And while Lord of the Rings used a lot of practical effects, there was still a lot of CGI shots. For example, Return of the King had close to 1,500 CGI shots. Most major movies have 200, so you can see the difference here. Like, there was a lot of worry as to is it still going to stand up, because what you might not see in DVD, when you're brought up to the full high definition of Blu-ray, are you going to notice it? Well, yes and no. You can see a lot clearer definition, a lot of the fine detail. But in the sculpting of the models, or bigatures as they call them here, you see so much more detail went into everything that it pays off. It paid off when it got brought up to Blu-ray standard, because the detail is there and now you're seeing even more of the work. It's stunning to watch these on Blu-ray, to hear them with the proper 5.1 encoded sound. They blow my mind, and these movies will move me each time I watch them. My personal favorite is Return of the King. I don't care that it's 4.5 hours long. I thoroughly enjoy it. And as far as I'm concerned, the theatrical edition of Return of the King, the one that won all those Oscars, does not exist. I have never seen it in theaters. I rented it on Blu-ray once, just so I could see what Return of the King theatrical edition was like. And after seeing the special edition, and then going back to see the theatrical, I was furious. There was a lot of stuff that I truly love. As a fan of Lord of the Rings, it was missing. And I was just like, why is this not here? I understand you have to cut things for runtime, but that should have been here. The movie plays so much better in the extended format than it does in the theatrical, that, where a lot of people have wiped the prequels from their mind for Star Wars, saying that they don't exist, I wiped the theatrical edition of Return of the King. The only version of Return of the King is the extended edition. Now, one little special treat that they added into each one of these cases, and I really do like it, even right down to the quality of the paper that they printed it on, it makes it look like it's rustic parchment paper, is you get these little books. And what these books do, they detail, right? They detail all of the scenes, all of the changes, and the bonus features for the actual movie. Like this here, this is a roadmap of the actual appendices. This is what goes on in appendices part 5. Okay? All that stuff. Can you see some of this? All of this stuff happens on the part 5 of the appendices. It's mind-blowing. Like, you get your introduction, forging of the narrative, talking about the enemy, talking about all the different places that they go to, all the different realms, all the different miniatures, and even then here, yeah, here's the roadmap for the appendices of part 6. And this is where it gets a little tear-jerking. You've worked with people for so many years. While yes, principal photography lasted 16 months, the overall process of making Lord of the Rings was about 3 years long. For some people it was 4 years long, but actors primarily it was 3 years. 3 years with the same crew, with the same cast. You get to know these people really well. It's part of the business. You're going to spend a lot of time with them, through the good, through the bad. You're going to get to know people. And one of the more touching moments for me is when they were saying the farewells to all the cast members. When they do their final scene, they invite them back to the soundstage. They give them a gift, and that's it. You're done. Congratulations. You are not needed anymore for the Lord of the Rings. Well, with what they did with John Rhys Davies, this man had an adverse reaction to his prosthetics. Very itchy, red, inflamed skin. And like, he had prosthetic pretty much over his entire face. Like, right in and around here was all glued in tight to make sure his forehead was that much thicker. He had an entire piece coming down here. He had a lower chin section. His head was pretty much encased in liquid latex and this glue that was just causing his skin to itch uncontrollably. He's even said, he's like, I don't know how I stopped myself from just tearing it off. Well, what they gave him on the last day is, and you see him with his makeup all off, and his face is bright red from the irritation that this mask caused. They give him the face he wore on the final day. And they have one of the braziers for that was used as decorative lighting for inside the Great Hall in Rohan. And John Rhys Davies grabs the face, runs over, throws it into the fire. And it was, he almost moved too fast for the cameras to follow him. It was great. He loved it. He's like, ha, gone. I'm getting revenge back on the thing that caused him so much problems. But and it was in a speech afterwards that, you know, John Rhys Davies has been in a lot of films. A lot of films this man's been in. I know he's worked on Sliders. I know he's worked in Raiders of the Lost Ark. He's been, obviously, in Lord of the Rings. He's done a lot of films, and he's worked with a lot of people. When he was doing this film, he came back in year 4. 4 years of working on this to get this final scene done. And he broke down into tears because after 4 years, he is still seeing the same passion, the same dedication to the project, the same love for creating The Lord of the Rings. And being a primarily a high-end Hollywood actor, like he only really works out of Hollywood, that touched him because it's not something that you see in the big corporate world anymore. And the man broke down. He started crying. That's just, it was so touching to see that everybody still cared. Everybody had the passion and the drive for it. The magic of making movies was still there and alive. It wasn't a job. It was a passion for these people and something that they had to get done properly. That was an amazing moment for me. Another amazing moment is there's a great tradition in New Zealand where they perform what's called a haka. And this is a ceremonial war challenge. It's usually only provided for visiting dignitaries or people of higher class, like the presidents or the queen would get this when they came in and visited. And the stunt team got together, because the stunt team was all native New Zealanders, primarily all native New Zealand. And on the last day for Aragorn, they drove him into the studio on his tour bus, on his makeup bus. Well, Theoden drove him into the theater on his makeup bus, Bernard Hill. And they come out, and there was a speech given to them. They were presented with ceremonial, I believe they're war clubs. I can't remember exactly what they're called, sorry. And they performed a haka for him. And it's not something that you see every single day. And it's just showing, how much they cared about having them on board for the project. And Viggo Mortensen, if you follow what went through over the course of this movie, especially by watching through the appendices and everything, he did a lot, and he kept a lot of spirits high, and all this, you got to remember, Viggo only became part of this project because his son was a fan of Lord of the Rings and told him, "Dad, go do this. Go do this." So, now I'm not saying everything was all happy-go-lucky on this film set. There's always, no matter where you are, there's going to be rough times. There's going to be rough days. It just happens. You're in a high-stress environment. You have a lot of different personalities. You're going to clash against each other once or twice. It's just a given. It's part and parcel with being an adult. You have to learn to cope with this. Not everybody is going to get the way they want it all the time. But if you can work past that, you get a really solid ensemble cast. And I don't think you could have picked a better cast for The Lord of the Rings. Everybody fit the roles perfectly. It was an outstanding job, and I don't think you could do any better. I really don't. To the point that whenever I watch The Hobbit, I miss Lord of the Rings a little. I'll go every time, it happened when I saw The Unexpected Journey. It happened when I saw Desolation of Smaug. I came home from the movie theater, and I put on Lord of the Rings, because I needed to go back to Middle-earth. And Middle-earth is there. It exists. 100% Middle-earth exists on these documentaries. You see the care that went into it. You see the final product that came up there on screen. Right? This is a trilogy that was, yes, directed by one man. Used 3 separate producers to be able to get this done. You had a continuous score being done for the entire film, done by one man, one outstanding composer. You had a design team that took on every aspect of the project simply so that it would all look cohesive and look as part of one proper unit. You got art designers and conceptual artists who have been designing stuff for Lord of the Rings, calendars and artwork and covers for books since the books were first released. This is amazing. When they got those 2 conceptual artists, pardon me 1 second, I have to figure out their names. I'm pretty sure one is Alan Lee. Yeah, one is Alan Lee. And I'm really sorry that I'm forgetting the other guy's name. Oh well. Yeah, these were two conceptual artists that never really saw each other before, and I can't believe how they got them. And they actually tell you the story of how they tracked these guys down and got them to sign on for the project. It was great. John Howe. There's the second guy's name. Alan Lee and John Howe. Fantastic. With the effort that goes into this film is not something that you usually see done. A lot of the stuff that you see done nowadays for films, it's popped into a computer and it's done with. So, special feature quality, you're not going to get any better. I don't care. There is no Blu-ray in my collection or that I have seen out yet, with the exception of some of the major collections, like the James Bond 50 collection that has all the Bond movies in 2-disc formats. That, just because of the sheer volume of stuff, you're going to have better special features. But for a trilogy, the Lord of the Rings Extended Edition trilogy on Blu-ray has the best special features you could possibly imagine. You'll learn so much more than you ever would have thought possible. If you like special features, it's the way to go. You have commentaries, you have behind the scenes. There are some blooper takes. One of the main, it's not so much a blooper that they screwed up on film, but there's a shot on film in The Two Towers where you can clearly see Viggo Mortensen shatter 2 of his toes. It's there, it's on screen. They kept the performance on screen because the performance was so stunning. But yeah, that scene, he shattered 2 toes. When he kicks the helmet, happened to have been the 5th kick, and that helmet was steel covered in leather. You broke a toe when all you're kicking it with is a cloth covered boot. Okay? Audio quality, outstanding. The audio on this is fantastic. I listened to it with my Turtle Beach 5.1 headset, and it's great. It's loud when it needs to be. It's soft when it needs to be. It builds the mystery the entire time. Very, very amazing sound design, and you can see why they won an Oscar for it. Same with the video design. If you ever needed proof as to why these movies won as many Oscars as they did, pick up the appendices and give them a watch. It's a long haul. It's a very long haul. It's close to 15 hours of running through the appendices just to be able to get through the trilogy. And that's not including the hours you can spend in all the photo books and snapshot art that are in here. Just running through the documentaries by hitting play all. There's a lot of detail here, and you're going to spend a long, long time. But you're going to know so much more about Middle-earth. And combine this experience with actually reading the novel. I have my 50th edition copy sitting over in my bedroom. I read it once a year. I don't care if people say they don't like his writing style. I love the book. I love the story. Combine that book and these movies, and the only way you'll know more about Middle-earth is if you could sit down and pick through J.R.R. Tolkien's mind. Well, that's going to be it for this Blu-ray review. Hope you guys enjoy it. If you don't have this in your collection, definitely pick it up. It is extremely worth it. You will not be disappointed. And it's been a couple of years since it came out, so I know you're going to be able to find it at a decent sale price. Just have to look for it. Hunt around for a little bit. You'll be surprised what you find. Avoid the theatrical release. Go for the extended. And live well in Middle-earth. Namarie.